Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of my Create This Book series by me and Moriah Elizabeth. We've had a lot of exciting prompts in this book, and I can't wait to see what today's prompts are. Before I begin, be sure to like and subscribe, and let's get right into today's video. The first prompt of the day is to create instructions. So I'm supposed to write out instructions step by step for something very simple. So I thought I would make a step-by-step tutorial on how to do the dishes. So step one is to mentally prepare. You gotta look at that sink full of dirty dishes and get prepared to spend an unreasonable amount of time doing all of the dishes that are in your sink. So I'm drawing out a whole bunch of dirty dishes in a sink, and then for step number 2, it is time to grab your soapy and wet sponge. So I'm drawing this cute little sponge with some little sparkles and bubbles all over it. That way it is ready to clean all of the dirty dishes in that sink that you have mentally prepared for. Step 3, of course, is to scrub away on those dirty dishes. You know the drill, you know how to do the dishes, but we scrub until there's a clean before and after. And then finally, the last and a very important step is to admire the handiwork that you've done. So once I sketched out all of these steps, I decided to go over everything with a pen. I wanted to leave it all black and white though, because I wanted it to look very much like a tutorial or like a little guidebook. I didn't want it to look too detailed. I wanted it to look like an instruction manual. So I'm just going over everything that I've already done. I decided to touch a couple things up and change up a little bit of the design, like I made this sink bigger and the dirty dishes seem even more overwhelming like they are in real life. And then I just drew out a whole bunch of messes. I included even little tiny details like forks and spoons just sitting in the sink. I thought that would be a cute touch, and this was actually a really fun one to do. Even though I didn't use any color, I had a lot of fun detailing all of these little designs. It's also really fun to try and create images that represent an action, for example, doing the dishes, because it's just really fun to try and get that idea conveyed across just through one single image. For example, this soapy sponge shining and sparkling, conveying the image that you're going to scrub your dishes clean, I really like that. And then I also created the little plate with some soap on the right side, and it looks clean and sparkly and washed. And then on the left side, we've still got a dirty dish with some little scratches. It needs some cleaning, it needs some help, a before and after, and of course, admiring your handiwork with a cute little smiley face to represent how proud you are to look at your clean, brand new sink that is no longer full of dishes. And life hack to this one, instead of washing all of your dishes by hand, if you have one, use a dishwasher. But anyway, I erased. It was really hard to get away all of the eraser, but I finally did, and then this one was complete, and I actually had a lot of fun doing it. It's pretty simple, but I also thought it was a really cute little fun prompt. And now it's time for the next prompt of the day, which is to create nonsensical creatures. So you already know I'm bringing my Posca pens in for this one, and I'm ready to get started. It happens that during this video, my husband brought me some strawberries to eat, so I ate my strawberries and then felt very inspired by the fruit that I just had, and I wanted to create a whole bunch of cute little fruit creatures. So they're not completely nonsensical, but they get a little bit more nonsensical as I go along. But for now, I'm just sketching out a whole bunch of different fruits. But for this little watermelon, I decided to give him a cowboy hat. Don't know why that happened, not really sure where that inspiration came from, but it just happened. And now I'm drawing out a whole bunch of different fruits. We've got a little 2 grape pear right there, some cherries here, and then I also just made up this random fruit because I didn't want to do blueberries since I already did some cherries and some grapes. I just wanted to do a random made up blue fruit, and then I filled the rest of the space in with some green little leaves that I felt like could make good characters as well. Once I had the bases down for all of my nonsensical creatures, I could then go in with some shading for everything. I'm obviously not going to go too detailed with these, but I wanted to add a little more detail in. So I'm giving them a little bit of texture when it's called for. The strawberry got bit here, so I'm creating a little bite mark there and adding in some shading. And then of course for the cherries, they need shading as well. And I kind of just went along with this pattern, giving everything the perfect amount of shading that it needs to make it just pop that much more. We had a lot of green to fill, so I filled filled all of that in as well and added detail on the leaves and everything. And then the last one that needed some shading was this pineapple, but that's obviously not orange, so that didn't work at first, but I figured it out. I cleaned it off. That's my bad for blending Posca pens when I shouldn't do it that way. But anyway, then it's time to add in my faces to really make these creatures nonsensical. So since this guy's got a cowboy hat, I gave him a big mustache to match and made him look a little bit crazy. And then for this pineapple guy, I felt like he'd be really cute with a shocked expression, so I gave him these big uneven wonky eyes and a cute little open mouth that's just really cute. He actually turns out to be my favorite because I think he's so funny. And then for the strawberry, I wanted to go a little simpler and just a little more cute factor, not such a crazy factor. And then it was time for the left side. I wanted to make these guys a little pair so they have kind of opposite emotions. And for the leaf, I went with a little bit more of a simple expression, again, just to balance everything out. I wanted to try something a little bit more unique with this blue one, and I wanted to try and make him look a little confused and disoriented, so I added a little question mark as well in there. And then for these guys, they're also kind of opposites. And finally, for the last two, I went really simple and just gave them little happy faces. They can be at peace and just be happy. And I felt like all of the characters could use some arms, some legs thrown in there. So some did get some did not. The poor little strawberry got his other arm eaten, I guess, so that happened. But here they all are. I think this page is really fun and actually really cute. Pretty nonsensical, but now it's time for the next prompt, which is to create your favorite. So it just said to make this page your favorite. So I started by writing out the phrase, "These are a few of my favorite things," and then I added some boldness to the lines just to really thicken everything up and to add just a little more visual interest for you to look at. And then after that, it was time to actually think of a way to make this page my favorite, and I decided to go pretty simple with it. I used some colors and just blocked everything out, and then I used a pen to draw on top of it items that represent some of my favorite things. I love sunny days, I love love, so you kind of get the picture. I just went along and kept on doing this until the whole page was full of just a few of my favorite things. I obviously love art, and I guess I really had fruit on my mind for this because I also put on here that I really love strawberries. Strawberries specifically were on the brain. But then for the next page, I wanted to incorporate the same colors that I used on this page. So I just took a whole bunch of the Posca pens that I'd already used and put them on the left side in this kind of rainbowy, streaky pattern on the left, just to fill up the page and take up some room. That way I could put even more of my favorite things on top. It was really challenging to think of so many favorite things, not because I don't have them, but it's just hard to think of them when they come to mind. And one of the favorite things that I love to do is read my Bible. I obviously am a big fan of colors, as you can probably tell. I'm also a huge fan of special drinks, and I say special drinks because it's not just one thing. I like milkshakes, special coffee drinks, so just, different special drinks that aren't water, lemonade. Anyway, I also really love sparkles. If you know me, you know that everything I make basically has sparkles on it. And then I also obviously love creating. And finally, I wanted to put something in to fill the top right and to fill the middle. So for the middle, I put in this little game controller because I love playing video games with my husband. And finally, for the top right, I love nature and being outside, especially in the sunshine, like I said before. But here are a few of my favorite things. I have a lot more favorites, but these are just the few that came to mind today. And now it's time to create my least favorites. So it's kind of a complete 180 from what I just did. So I took inspiration from that page, but this time I'm using some sadder colors. Typically I see blue and gray used as some sad colors, so that's the colors that I used, even though blue is my favorite color, so that's kind of backwards. But anyway, I just went along with it. One of my least favorite things is when it's rainy outside. I love a good rainy day, but I hate when I can't walk and be outside in the sun. And then I also don't like being sad. I don't think anybody really likes to be sad. Another thing that kind of drives me crazy is when I feel like I've lost time, or sometimes time just feels like it passes way too quickly, so that's definitely on there. And then another basic thing that I don't like is messes. So this was even harder to come up with things that I don't like, And I even wrote on here that my least favorite thing is trying to come up with my least favorite things, which is kind of funny, but then I decided, maybe I should stop. So I just stopped trying to come up with them. It was pretty challenging, but here is a look back at the first prompt again, which was to create instructions. So I did instructions on how to do the dishes, so we've got to mentally prepare, grab our soapy sponge, scrub away, see our before and after, and finally admire our handiwork. For the next prompt, it was to create nonsensical creatures, which were based off of fruit, and then I added a whole bunch of silly, funny, crazy faces to all of the fruit. The pineapple definitely turned out to be my favorite, but let me know which one is yours. And then for the next prompt, it was to create my favorites. So I made this page filled with a few of my favorite things that came to mind, and I tried to include as many things that I could think of with some bright, fun colors. And then it was time to do the opposite of that, where I tried to create a few of my least favorite things, but it was actually a lot more challenging than I realized because I like to focus on the positive. Let me know which prompt from today was your favorite. I actually liked the first one because it took a mundane task and made it kind of special. But let me know which one was yours. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.